let's go ahead and get started. All right, so it's your boy. We're gonna go ahead and get this party started. It's your boy Denswell, saltiest Thunder player in all of soccer spirits, and today we are going to be going over managers. This one's a overdue revision. I wanted to touch on it and make it more concise. And yeah, that's pretty much it. That's what I wanted to do. So I'm gonna just go ahead and say this right now. I'm not gonna cover every single manager in the game. That's gonna take too long, and it's going to be going against what I want, which is to be concise. So I'm going to go over what I feel is the best options and what I know are the best options. I'm gonna be letting you know specifically where something is the best and where it's my opinion. Okay. I'm going to be breaking this into parts also to keep it concise and all that good jazz. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So, we're going to go ahead and cover some of the more obvious changes that have occurred recently to managers, and then we're going to go into, you know, what you should be doing with them. We're going to cover the worthwhile options for purchases, which ones you should be hunting after that are free, and then, of course, formations. So, first, one of the cool things that was done with managers is that now they can be utilized for more than just being placed on a formation. They added dispatch into the game a while ago. Most of you, should know about this by now, even if you're new. The dispatch allows you to send the player, managers out to do stuff. They do stuff, they get you stuff. Stuff is good. Anyway, so that also covers one of the changes that was done to managers. If you see these missions, so for example, let's go ahead and do this special training mission with Timmy over here. You're going to notice that the dispatch settings has two little icons. Managers were given these little icons. You can't change them or anything like that. They just come with them. Different managers have different stuff. So this one's obviously a mission for uh, excuse me, this is a mission specifically for sponsor managers. So only your sponsors are going to be selectable here. This is part of the reason why, even if you're not going to use them for certain formations, you still want to collect every single manager in the game if you can. If not for their actual use in formations, but for manager dispatch. The more the merrier because you want to get as much stuff as possible. These missions are going to range from bronze 1 through 3 star, silver 1 through 3 star, and finally gold 1 through 3 star. Obviously, the better, the higher the rarity, the better the reward. However, that also increases how much time it takes for the manager to return from those missions and also the default success rate before you even apply managers. Okay. The 1 star bronze missions, as you can see here, for example, they're 2 minutes. A silver one is 6 hours. A bronze 3 is 5 hours. Silver 2 is 8 hours. And then the gold ones, they're like days. So, yeah. Also, every day after the daily reset, you are allowed to reset your dispatch missions once. So it's a nice idea to, pick out the missions that are worthwhile to you. And then if everything else is not worth your time or of not of interest to you, you can go ahead and hit the reset button. This is better for you if you have a lot of maxed out managers and you're hunting for, the higher rarity missions that give you the best drops. Especially if you don't really care for the, 2 to 3 star manager missions, aka Shireen boxes and things like that. So moving right along, let me go ahead and put these up and then I'll get on to the next portion of the guide. So here you'll see that while you're preparing a dispatch, the managers are going to come up. The game automatically sorts out your managers based on the highest percentage that they're going to contribute to success rate. But once you insert the first one, the percentage tends to change. Okay, and again, that's based on if the character has the needed attributes and or their level. Once they reach a certain amount of levels, they actually start getting a natural increase to a percentage. So let's say, for example, this mission right here, right? Let me see if anybody here covers both of them. No, no. Looks like that's not the case. But let's say, for example, I grab this character here. Looks like Lucy. If I grab Lucy, she's covering that spot. As you can see here, even though Rockwell is maxed out at level 50, she doesn't have the trait. She only gives 36%. And Halloween Eve, who covers one of those traits, even though she's at a smaller level, she still provides a bigger boost. So, like I said, the attributes do matter, and excuse me, the attributes do matter, and then of course their level helps even more so. So you do that. Obviously, this is the 100% for me, so go ahead and do it. Let me see what else I want to go ahead and pull up. Need that money. Now these two. It's two dispatches. Just doing some quick ones, just so that I can, later on before bed, then I can go ahead and do something larger. This is 5 hours. Not worth it really. Some of these, as you can tell, they'll give you 3-star boxes, or they'll just straight up give you a manager. This is actually really handy if you see a manager that you want, like this right here. If you don't have a seller manager, then that's great because you can get a dupe of a character right then and there. So that's actually really, really handy, especially if you're a beginner. This one, as you notice right here, this one's a 2-star silver, but there's only one attribute. This is another reason why you want to level up your characters, because when you get these, you're not getting anywhere near as much benefit from those players. So obviously, I'm pretty much screwed here because, my two characters that have that clover icon, they're not very leveled, so I'm not really getting much out of it. My best bet is to do that and then add a character who's maxed out, and it doesn't really add up to much. So that's where those come into play. If you have nobody, to get a high enough chance, you can use a maxed out character, or if not, you can just use whoever and just get the experience. Even if you fail the mission, your managers will still get experience. If you succeed, you get the reward for clearance. If you get a big success, you're gonna get the reward plus bonus gold. I don't know if anything really controls great success chance. So let's go ahead and put this up and get it going. Nobody with the eye trait. There we go. All right, so that's three. Then one more. Let's do the other 2-star just for the heck of it. Which one's better? This one for GP? Oh, they're both the same thing. Who cares? And yeah, even if they're low rarity, you should still use them. What's important is that those characters cover the traits that you need. It's the most important thing. So that covers the basics for dispatch, general introduction to managers. Before we touch on everything else, I also wanted to mention, since we touched on experience, the characters, or excuse me, the managers will only gain experience. Okay? The characters will only gain experience by being sent out on dispatch. If you use a duplicate of a manager, let me see, I should have a duplicate around here somewhere, like Shootmeister, yeah. I have a duplicate of Shootmeister. Shootmeister is Ardor. If you try to train Shootmeister into himself, all he's going to do is gain a superb. He will not gain experience. Okay, we'll do it backwards. If I put Shootmeister in, and I try to feed him himself, just take off the lock for a second here. You're gonna notice all he's gonna gain is his superbs. He's not gonna gain any experience. All right. So again, if you want to get them to get better, then you're going to have to go ahead and actually train them, or excuse me, you're going to dispatch them. You cannot use, lead trays. I believe you can't use lead trays. Can you? Yes, you can. But oh, excuse me. Yeah, of course you always could. Silly me. Excuse me. You could always use lead trays if you want to. But I wouldn't recommend that for 3 stars because they're fairly easy to get. You could use the 3-star lead trays on 4-star or 4-star managers for certain ones. We'll talk about that in a bit. But generally, you want to keep that for the 5-star managers who are harder to get and for more specialized skills, etc. But like I said, you cannot use penguins to level them up. You'll notice that you cannot select penguins. Okay, you can't select penguins, Kuma, none of that stuff. You have to train them the hard way. So there you go. Always do your manager missions. Besides, it's also part of your club activities sometimes. So there you go. Okay, so that covers the basics or the basic introduction for managers. We just covered the basic gist of their use as far as for dispatch and how to get them to be stronger. The last part we need to cover for them is of course their actives and so on and so forth. You're going to notice that when you select them, they're going to have, like I said before, the traits. They also always have an active and a skill. Okay, the active will be improved when you level up the when you excuse me when you evolve them. So for example, we go back to the unevolved Shootmeister that I have here. Right now, his active is 3 stamina every 4 hours. If we evolve him, it'll change to same thing, I believe. Oh, it goes to 5. It goes from 3 to 5. The cooldown, right? The cooldown can be lowered either by using certain managers or by superbs. When they're superb, the active cooldown goes down and their passive skill improves. As you can see here, by having him fully superb, his active is now 3 hours, and his passive is 10 to stamina. Whereas at zero superb, it's only 5. Okay, so that covers everything now for the basics. There we go. Yes. So evolving their actives, their passives, how to lower their active cooldown, how to strengthen the passive effect, and how to strengthen them via dispatch. So that's that. We're gonna go ahead and break there, and then we are going to move forward